We're 14a, about 10 lines down, the middle of the line, Minan Emilei. The Mishnah was talking about when you make a neder that you can attach it to something that you forbade to yourself. So you forbade A to yourself. You could say, let B be like A. But if A is already forbidden, like it's not kosher or it's some other forbidden item, then that does not work for a neder to attach another item to it. So if you say, I want A to be like B and B is not kosher, then that's not effective. Okay. So where do we know this from? Amar Torah says, Ish ki yadar neder l'Hashem. Hello, Lily. You want to learn some Gemara? If you want, you can learn some Gemara with me. Yeah? Okay. Maybe later. Amar the Torah says, Ish ki yadar neder l'Hashem. And I think we referred to this yesterday already. When a man makes a neder to God, and it uses that double language, ki yidar neder, when you vow a vow. Ad sheyidar b'davar hanadur. So it means that not only the thing that you're forbidding to yourself has to be vowable, but the thing that you're attaching it to, that you're saying is this A should be like B, also has to be vowable. So the Gemara says, well, wait a minute. So, but why don't you say that there's another verse that would imply the opposite? D'haksiv le'asar isar al nafsho. Ishkidar nadar Hashem ohi shavash le'asar isar al nafsho, to forbid something forbidden to himself. So that, using the same kind of technique of the double language, you would say you can make something forbidden to you even by attaching it to something that's already forbidden, which is the opposite of what the Mishnah says, where it says, no, that we need for something else. So it's referring to, it's not even going to tell us the whole story, but what this is referring to is if someone says, I will not, I'm not going to eat meat or drink wine, like on the day that my parent died. Okay, so when a parent dies and you're an onan, you can't eat meat or drink wine. Or actually, you might be referring. Wait a second. No, not an onan. I think it's talking about the yard site, right? Well, if a person's custom is to, let's say, right. If a person had previously said, I'm not going to eat meat or wine on my father's yard site. Okay, and then he says, and today, which is a different day, just a Tuesday in November, will be like my father's yard site. So that is effective because that's telling you that this kind of association, that this A should be like B, is effective. Okay, so if we're using La'asar Isar to tell us the whole source of the idea, that you can say, let A be like B, where B is something that you forbade to yourself. So that's the whole source of that idea. Then you wouldn't say then you wouldn't say that it means something that is asur already. Okay. Moving on to the Mishnah. So the Mishnah had said, if you say to your wife, you're like my mother to me. Okay, now meaning that you can't sleep with your mother, so you're kind of swearing off sleeping with your wife. So you would think it would be the same as any other thing, like, this should be like pork, right? But the Mishnah said that you have to find some other way to release the person from the neder. Ramina, we have another brisa. Hare at alai kibsar ima. You're like to me like my mother's flesh. Okay, same idea. Or kibsar chosi, like my sisters. Ka'arla, like harem, these other forbidden produce. This does not work. Okay, so isn't that exactly opposite, exactly against our Mishnah? So Rabbi Lomar Klum Midaraisa. Rabbi says this is what's going on here. Biblically, it's not a valid vow. Okay, but v'tzarich she'ela midrabanan. So it's exactly like our Mishnah that you need to find. The rabbi said, let's just not ignore this neder, even though it's not a valid neder. We're going to make you find some way out of it, as we do with real nedarim. Okay, and presumably, or as the Mishnah said, it's so that people don't treat nedarim lightly. We don't want you. You shouldn't get into the habit of making this kind of neder about your wife. Rava says a different distinction between the Mishnah and the Brisa. Okay, when we're talking about Talmidei Chachamim, then we don't have to worry that they're going to be treat nedarim lightly, right? So the Brisa, which says this kind of neder is nothing, right? Because you're attaching it to something that was already forbidden, like your mother or your sister. So if you're a Talmid Chacham, you made a mistake and you did something stupid. We're not afraid that you're going to go ahead and making this kind of neder and possibly get yourself entrapped in a real neder. But an ignorant person, that's what the Mishnah is talking about. And then we want to impress on people, don't be making these kinds of nedarim. And that's why even though the neder is not effective, we pretend that it's effective and look for some other way out. So to impress upon the ignorant person, you should not be doing this. So, and this is support for Rava. Another Batorah law marklut. So here's another brisa that says if you vow by the Torah, you say by the Torah, I'm not gonna whatever, eat meat or something. Law marklut, that's nothing. Rabbi Yochanan says, even though it's nothing, you still have to annul it through a Talmid Chacham. Right, go find a way to get out of the neder, even though it's not a real neder. Because if you're Talmid Chacham, then you don't need to do that. Okay, so again, same idea that we saw that Rava said, which is that this is the idea that you have to find a way out of this neder. Not really a real neder, but if you're a Talmid Chacham, no problem. We'll just ignore this invalid neder. If you are an Amaris, if you're ignorant, then we will, even though we know it's not a real neder, we're still going to make you try to find a way out. Okay, Tanya. So now we're going to examine that brisa about Hanoder Batorah. Hey, Lily. Thank you. You want to listen? Thank you.
Watch, he's going to leave. Yeah.
Okay. See you later. Thank you for the rainbow. Now we're going to examine that brisa more carefully. Hanoder Batorah. What does that mean? Someone who takes a vow that this is, I swear by the Torah. That's nothing. That's not a neder. But Masha Kasuvba, but if you make a vow, now it's unclear exactly what this means. What by what is written in the Torah, or by what the Torah is written with. Okay, so I swear by the ink of on Torah would be the latter, or I swear by the words in this Torah, the things that are forbidden in this Torah. Devar of Kayami, then that works because. One second. Oh yeah. So b'masha kasuvba could mean, or we're interpreting it to mean by God's name, right? What's written in the Torah? A lot of things written in the Torah, but God's name is written in the Torah. If you say I swear by God, then that is a valid thing. We'll analyze this a little further. But if you say I swear by this Torah and by what's written in it, then that also works. Katane. So the Torah says, like, what do we need this last phrase for? By it and what is written in it. We already saw if you swear by what is written in the Torah, meaning by God's name, then that's good. So if you swear by it and by what's written in it, that's obviously good. Like, what do you need the last thing for? So here's the difference. If the Torah is in front of you, like on the table, it says on the ground, but let's assume that we're talking about like you're not holding it, then that's the case. That's the last case where we say ba'u v'masha kasuba. That's valid only if it's sitting in front of you. But the middle case where we said that if you just say b'mashakasu, by what's written in it, that's if you're holding it in your hand. Okay, so what does this mean? Machtal ara, if it's sitting in front of you, you're not holding it. Date agvile. So you must mean, or we understand that you mean the parchment. Okay, so if you swear by the parchment, that's nothing. Unless you say ba uva mashakasu by it and what's written in it, then you mean the scroll itself, but you also must mean in that case what's written in it, which is God's name. But nakal abiyade, but if you're holding it and you say b'mashakasu ba date al hazkar shaba, that means you're talking about the God's name that's written in the Torah. Why this is a little beyond me. If you're, I mean, I can't understand what the distinction would be really if you're holding it or if it's in front of you. Any ideas are welcome.
Well, I guess there might be a difference between the physical scroll and the words that are in it.
Yeah, well, why would it make a difference holding it or if it's sitting in front of you? Like, why would that change the meaning of what you're saying?
That I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get either. Let's see if I missed any notes here. Okay. There's a long Rashi on this. 1 second. So Rashi says when you're holding it, since you're holding it with your with honor, with respect. So if you're holding it, like you're more likely to be focused on what's written in it. Think about, people holding, carrying the Torah and Simchas Torah. What are you thinking about? You're thinking about how precious is the Torah and what's written in it. So then, then you must be referring to to what's written in it. But if it's just on the table in front of you, then you're not necessarily focused on the Torah, on the contents of the Torah, but you probably just mean the Torah as an object. Okay, well, like I said before, this is one of the less confusing or less obscure things about this Masechta. So I'm not gonna be
less obscure one.
Right. Yeah. Or you could answer the Machtalar. No, both cases are talking about when it's on the table in front of you. Even though you're not holding it. That, yeah, indeed, these two cases are superfluous. It doesn't really need to tell you if you say what's written in it, or if you and also if you say by it and what's written in it, like that is superfluous, but indeed it's superfluous, and we have this construct called Zuvein Sarich Lomer Zukatane. And not only that, but also this. So in other words, this answer, the Gemara is conceding that yes, it is superfluous, but it's not unusual for it to be stated this way. Vibaisema, or another way of understanding is Kula Mitziasa Name. Both the middle part of the brisa, which is b'masha kasuba, what's written in it, by what is written in it, and the end, which is by it and what is written in it. They're both talking about not when it's in front of you, but when you're holding it in your hand. But what it's telling you is kevan denaki labiyade, since you're holding it, afal amar elaba kamandiyam b'masha kasuba dame. What it's telling you, we're rereading it. We're saying that even if you're holding it, then even if you just say by the Torah, then you mean, if you're holding it, you mean by what's written in it. Because as Rashi said, I guess you're, by holding it respectfully, you're focused on the contents. Although that is a real reread of the Mishnah. So of the Brisa. All right. Next Mishnah. Konam Shani Yashe. So the Gemara, I'm gonna go with this as the Gemara interprets it, even though it's not. And I think we saw this yesterday also, right? We quoted this Mishnah. A konam, meaning a vow that I won't sleep, or my sleeping is the way to translate it here. A vow on my sleeping, shani medaber, or on my speech, shani mahalech, or my walking, or haomer liishto konam shani meshamshech. A vow on my sleeping with you. This is subject to don't go back on your word. Okay, which is an unusual construction, right? You would expect it to say this is a real neder or this is not a real neder. What the saying is this is something that is subject to don't go back on your word, which seems to be saying it's a neder. The Gemara will talk about why we use this phrase. Itmar. Or it says, what if this is a different case? What if I say, I'm making a neder not to sleep today if I sleep tomorrow? Okay, so the condition is on something that is in the future. Okay, again, I'm making a neder not to sleep today, but it's only effective if I sleep tomorrow. So are you required not to sleep today? Right? Amar Rav, don't sleep today, because maybe you'll fulfill the condition and then retroactively you will have violated your vow by sleeping today. Now Rav Nachman says no. Yishan, go take a nap. It's fine to take a nap today, because we can rely on you. If you sleep today, you're like, oh, I better not sleep tomorrow, or I will have retroactively violated my neder. Right? Usually, I'm sleep today. We're not worried if you sleep today, you'll know that tomorrow you better not take a nap, otherwise you will have violated retroactively your neder. Mother of Yehuda Omer, or Rabbi Yehuda admits that if you say, excuse me, Konam einai b'sheina l'machar yimishan hayom. My eyes are. I'm making a neder about my eyes sleeping tomorrow if I sleep today. Okay, so this is the opposite case. It's like if I sleep today, tomorrow. Okay, so then then Rabbi Yehuda would say, okay, yeah, if you sleep today, better not sleep tomorrow. Kilom desire, because when is the person not going to be? When is the person going to be careful? It's not. If there's a condition, right? Avol be surah mizdire. But the prohibition itself, you'll be fine. So, like, it seems kind of obvious to me, right? That if you make a condition, if I do X, then my neder is effective tomorrow. I mean, that's what we're saying. That's what the Gemara is saying, is that it's obvious that that tomorrow you'll be careful. If the condition comes true today, then tomorrow you'll be careful. We don't say, oh, the person is messing around with conditions. I mean, that seems kind of straightforward. Okay. I guess this is a good place to stop for today.
Okay, thank you, Dov. Have a good
right.
day.
Bye. Bye.
That's the clock. Thank you.
Thank you. Good day, everyone.